Hello, everybody. I'm going to talk about Carmen. It's a web server with different uses. So I would like to talk about this tool. So, who I am? I'm born, raised, built in Mallorca, Paradise Island. Excellent, nothing to do. So I moved out. I went to US. I did my studies in US. I worked for a couple of companies like Steak, coming back to Spain. Back to Spain there, work for PricewaterhouseCoopers. Not that fun. So now I work for a small vendor doing application security. And actually this talk has nothing to do with my current company, but it's fun anyways. So this is the agenda we have so far. I'm going to give you a small overview. Then we're going to what is this tool about and different uses. So I'm going to give you a small overview on web honeypots. There's nothing new here. Everybody, I guess many of you maybe have played around with honeypots or have read something about it. They usually run on top of a well-known web server, so you have to use usually Apache, IIS, or stuff like that. That's okay. Usually when people do web honeypots, they just focus on attack techniques. So that's quite limited. Actually, my tool is not a web honeypot itself. It's more like a web server, but you can use it as a web honeypot. And I'll give you more details about that. So, web honeypot maybe can be just a simple web page with a couple of vulnerabilities, something like that you can see how people exploit them to analyze what they do. So that can be that's a well-known web honeypot. And actually, there are a couple now. You can find a lot of people who have write web honeypots. You can use that as a baseline. But the truth is, I would say that to really set up a real web honeypot is not that easy. It's a lot of things you have to take care of. So now we're going to a little bit about web. Now everybody knows we're in web 2.0, whatever that means. Now we all know that web browsers have become really complex. There's a lot of plugins there, and so there's a lot of stuff that can be risky. Everybody knows here that all that stuff used to have a lot of vulnerabilities. Some of them have some browsers and some web technologies and have improved quite a lot, and that's excellent. But still the security industry is trying to catch up, which now we have really cool security tools like security scanners that most time doesn't work, but they are there. So we want to play with all that kind of stuff. And that's the main goal of the tool. And now we have a small crowd about web technologies. We all know, I'm not going to say any name, but most of you know that many sites of that technologies, sites there used to be they have been in the news quite lately because they're really good into security. So, right. So that's what we get right now with the web technologies. Really complex, playing around with all web technologies now with the new technologies, so it's kind of a mess. So that gives us a lot of fun. Now we have here a couple of well-known user suspects. Nothing special here, cross-site scripting, so popular these days. Different attacks in the browsers. Backdoors, PDFs. So actually, we like all that kind of stuff because now we would like to know about this kind of vulnerabilities because we want to implement those into the server, so we can study attackers or tools or whatever. So that's always nice to know all this kind of attack. So we can we don't want to exploit them. Actually, what we want is to implement those in our server to see how people deal with them. So I guess I would say that usually, currently, as I said before, people with the web honeypots, I would say a web honeypot should be something easy to install. I mean, you have to install IIS or Apache or something like that, start configuring anything. That's not that easy. I mean, it's easy, but it's a pain in the ass. You have to do all that kind of stuff. So I want something easy. I don't want to bother about that. So I want also cross-platform, something I can move around to different platforms to do analysis or whatever. Should be small performance impact. Actually, that's kind of important because usually security people, when we're writing security tools, they don't care about performance. So actually, most of the security tools are perform. Yeah, vendors Some of them, more or less, they take care of that, but open source tools and something like that, people don't care. So actually, that's something that people should think about it. What I want is like use web honeypots to do something more than just analyzing attackers. Okay, that's fine for a while, but I want to be able to be able to do more, and that's the goal of the tool. And I would like to also easy to interact. I just want something easy. I can work with the tool, do whatever I want, and put new stuff easily. So now we're going to what the tool is about. Actually, that's right now. This the framework you get right now is 100% Python, so it works in different platforms. Cross-platform. Actually, it's multi-threading, so it supports different users at the same time. It's actually easy to run, easy to use, easy to run. That means it's just to configure the tool. You just use an XML file, execute the tool. That's it, up and running. Actually, one of the interesting things is it simulates well-known web servers, and we will go into more details about that in a little bit. It supports basic identification. It can create cookies and session IDs. It has support for CGIs and plugins. And now this is how you just, for example, to configure this tool, just use the XML file. In there, you can specify the IP the server is going to use, the port it's going to use. You can define the behavior, so behave like an Apache, IIS, Netscape, or you can do a couple of things more there. What HTTP methods we are going to accept, and which we are going to not allow. So it gives you a lot of flexibility. We can define the HTTP options, and that's useful because that's one of the techniques that people use to perform fingerprints on server. So we want to be able to play with that. Then we can define the cookies and stuff like that. And I will show you around that. So now you can see it's execute. When you execute the tool, that's what you get. Just command line, the old classic, nothing fancy GUI or anything like that. So we have the server running, and now it's waiting there in port 80, waiting for people to connect. This is the logic. The server tends to be more or less like a web server. Of course, it doesn't have all the logic and features that are a real web server because we don't need that. And if you need something, you just write it. So actually, what we get is like we have somebody, a tool, people, whatever request a resource. So now we check that method is allowed. If not, we have a response, an error response back to the request. And if it is that method, okay, that was allowed. So now we ask the server, ask the plugin, you want to take this, you want to handle this request to do something? So that's kind of nice because now with the plugins you can write there your analysis tool or your vulnerabilities there, and plugins can play but with that change everything they want or log whatever, and send back to the server. And now I'm done. Send that back to the response. So it gives you a lot of flexibility there. You can create plugins and CGIs to play around with the target. And that's, you always go back to the server because the server can add additional information to the response. But everything, you can change everything more or less. So so now actually the interesting thing is the server, Carmen can emulate like Apache, IIS, Netscape. It has a Carmen behavior, like it's like an Apache, but it changed a little bit. And actually the interesting thing now is you can start mixing behaviors. Like this happens like response like IIS, this happens like an Apache. So now it can become interesting because you can start doing all that kind of craziness into the server and see how people and tools manage that. So for example, we have here the different, we have like Apache, we have the headers, the body, the CGI, the application, something like that for Apache, for IIS. And we give you get like normal server, like a normal Apache, normal IIS. So we want to able to customize that. So I would say that behave like an Apache, but the headers usually be like an IIS. The body, that's fine. The CGIs run like an IIS application or something like that, but it's like an Apache, inside Apache. So you can do a lot of kind of crazy things there, and that's really funny. So, why we want to do that? Because we want to perform fingerprint evasion. Carmen give out the same kind of information that a web server does. So for example, they give you the same HTTP. If you set up the server to run like IaaS, when Apache gives you the same HTTP banners, you can define the same options in the HTTP, the same error message and code, and technology identification that CGIs and stuff like that. So that's quite interesting. And for example, here we are faking. I configure the tool to run like an IaaS. I'm sorry, like an Apache. And there we can see this is a tool that many people use to perform fingerprint the web servers. So actually, I configure the Carmen to run like an Apache, and there we can see all the different checks that the tool perform, because all the checks, all the requests are logged into a file and into the command line, so you can see that all the time, or what was requested. So here I configure the Carmen to run like an Apache. And it told us it didn't identify the same version, but that's because I guess maybe I didn't put all the same checks in all the same response like the same version in the Apache I did configure. So that's the reason it didn't match quite well. But you can do a really good matching there. It depends how much you go into configure the server and put the information there. So I did the same, and now I'm playing, okay, I changed the configuration, and now it's like an IaaS. And I told it, yeah, behave like an IaaS 5, and I give you the same, identify the server like an IaaS. So that's kind of interesting. And now we can play around and stuff like that. And it's interesting to see how security tools deal with this kind of problems. So now, another interesting thing, the features of the tool is cookies and session IDs. That's usually all the web applications there use cookies and session IDs. So it will be fun to do something about it. So when you configure the server to run like an Apache or IaaS, it will use the same types of session IDs there. The first one is a generic. The Carmen is when you set up the server to configure like a Carmen. IaaS, Apache, Netscape, stuff like that. So now it's kind of same. So we actually, you can define to create cookies for each request and send back to that in the response. And we want to be able to play around. So actually the tool now gives you 8 different algorithms to create decision IDs. So you can see all the thing is quite random. It just gives you the first uppercase letters, uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and apply some hashing there, whatever. The IP, and perform and add some letters or numbers, whatever. And that's kind of funny because that gives us that. And our goal here is just to make people crazy and tool crazy about session ID analysis, because now there's a lot of people, when people doing web assessment, something like that, they would put nice graphic about the performing session ID analysis and trying to find something about it. So actually, that's what we're looking for. When they perform session ID analysis, they are not able to get anything about that. Actually, now the 8 different algorithms, they are hardcoded into the code. But I was thinking that maybe for next release, something like that, it would be nice to be able to apply your own algorithms. So what we're looking here is to create patterns. So yeah, when people try to perform session ID analysis, you can come up with a nice small pattern that people, oh, that's cool, here is something. And people waste. Our goal here is to waste all the time we can on people, on tools and something like that. So people will try to perform the session, they will try to identify the session. So, and that's cool, and they will give you, we have found something, and present that to the client or whatever performing the analysis. So that's always nice. Actually, our goal, it would be something to create really patterns there. I mean, this is completely a joke here. But it would be nice to create algorithms that give us patterns there, so people and tools think there's something going on. But in reality, there's not, because anyways the tool doesn't do anything with the session IDs. So, but we just want to play around with people. So I think that's fun. Actually, anyone knows here which tool was used to create that? It's a very popular tool. No guesses? Perfect. There we go. Yeah, there's a book, actually.
What was the answer? Next.
So it's kind of funny. And now it will be really awesome when we start putting their patterns and people waste time playing around. And it will be like, I mean, I can come out with so many crazy ideas there. It's so funny. But so now, so now we're going to the brute force. That's another classic there. So yeah, I mean, every people there, they are doing. Oh, there's no water here. Or, can I have a little water? No gases? No, not for me. Oh. Sorry about that. Yesterday was an interesting night, so I need a little water. So now we are. Yeah, there's a lot of people there. Many times people doing build force on web apps, something like that. So that's kind of cool to play around that. So I decided, okay, let's do. I mean, there are tools and people tell that there's supposed to be some really cool build force tools there in the wild. So okay, let's play around that. So okay, so I now the tool Carmen supports STT basic identification, and that's nice. Actually, in the configuration file, you can define pages, directories, something folders. Actually, that when requested, it will request authentication. So that's funny. So people they will try to figure out how to get access to that. The funny thing is, the tool never authenticates. So now you can have people there trying to build force the server all the time. It's not going to happen. I mean, the tool is never authenticated. So actually, a good thing now, you waste the time, guy. They are trying to build force your attack. Actually, all the passwords and all the users and everything, they are logged into a file. So actually, you get all the password list from that guy. So that's nice. So we want people to build force, so we can get all those passwords. So now we are going to different uses of the tool. Actually, here in the tool, as any security tool, something like that, it has different uses. You can use it for offense, for defense. That's what you get with security tools. Nothing about that. But usually, I mean, it's a tool with two different ways. I mean, you can use it for both kind of things. It depends on your needs. I mean, you can configure the server to be more. I mean, the goal here is to be able to perform analysis on things. So we can set up the server and add. Usually now the tool gives you just a baseline framework. So you have to do your own stuff there. You have to you want to add code to that for your plugins or your site, whatever, to do that. So you just have to set up the server in the way you for your needs. So that's one of the things, and it should be quite flexible for covering all your needs. So it should be more or less okay with that. So here we go into the different uses of the tool. So for example, we can use it like a Roach web server but I will not recommend to use Carmen as a web server, because you will not get the same performance and features like a web server, but up to you. We can use also the tool to, I mean, to map an internal network. We can put it into when we are doing an assessment or something like that. We can put it there in a network and try to figure out people coming to a server. Not that difficult. See, you just send an email to the entire company or whatever. Go to this address, something cool. Chances are people will go there. And if it's inside the network, all done. So we can use that because actually, I'm sure you know that usually browsers, for example, they tend to be very, very friendly, and when they perform a request, they give out a lot of information about the server they're running, the many times you can get also the plugins and stuff like that. So that information is logged into a file, and actually the plugins, CGIs can get all that information and you can decide what to do with that. So that's nice that browsers are so friendly. They give you a lot of information about themselves. We can use it like a web honeypot. We can set up we can create like vulnerabilities there and whatever we want and see how people deal with them or tools deal with them. So that's one of the uses. But I want something else, that people with the honeypot, they just focus on attacker techniques. So I want to be able to do more. And actually the reason I came up with this tool, and actually I wrote this tool a while ago, is just mainly to focus on web technologies and scanning tools. I mean, in web technologies, there's so much browsers. I mean, browsers are a piece of software so complex. They have a lot of plugins inside. Even they are adding more stuff into it. So there's a lot of things we can try there. There's also custom proxies we can play around. So there's a lot of things, and that's what the things I'm looking forward to play with. And the other side, also scanning tools. I mean, I want to be able to say, for example, I hear that last week in a Chinese conference, they released, I don't know if they released it, but they talk about it, that there is a QSI scripting in Nessus. So actually, when Nessus is performing a scanning, you can inject their QSI scripting attack, and it will go back to Nessus. So I want to be able to do that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, security tools, they are security tools, but they are not secure by themselves. Actually, people think because it's a security tool is secure. Many times that's not the case. Usually, most of the security tools are crap anyways. But we want to be sure, and we want to play around. I mean, so it's time we take on those. So that's what we want to play with. And that's another interesting thing here, I guess, that I mean, why play alone where you can play in group? That's always group is fun, right? So here now we can combine, for example, the logo. Anyone know what's that logo for? No? It's a well-known tool. Excuse me? Yeah, I mean the name of the tool. No, what is it? Oh, come on, people! I'm sure any of you have played with a honeypot. No, this tool. Come on, there's a book there waiting for you. No?
Honeybee.
Yeah. Come on, so now with the honeybee. Actually, yeah. So now what we're looking here is you can combine honeybee and Carmen together. So you can set up a site, your host, honeybee taking care of the host and stuff like that. When a web server is requested, when a web request, you can pass it to Carmen, and Carmen can deal with that. This is more. So now it gives you a lot of play around things. So now we can combine, really play around with the command writing, try to configure the host or site with weird operating system and weird web configuration, and see what people and tools make of it. Actually, we can put up, I mean, into the server, into the Carmen. We can put the Metasploit browser assessment. It's just like several JavaScripts and CSI to perform browser assessments. So we can put all of that into Carmen. We can our site generator is a web honeypot. It's nice, but it's a bit pain in the ass to install. So, but you can get actually, but it has a couple of nice features. So you can actually, they are not to play here together, but you can take a couple of these and put those into the server. And the Junior Citizen PDP, actually I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, released a Python web fuzzer for browser, and you can put that into the server, and that's quite nice, and actually give you because it's focusing just in the browser. So we can combine now the server to perform deeper fuzzing, for example, using that tool, for example. So here we have the what we call the stack analysis. as we are able to set up the headers, the body, the CGI, something like that, so here we can see, we can get the idea that as we are able to change, to modify, to customize all that kind of stuff, we can say different stuff at the different layers. So that's interesting. We can say in the headers, like this file is this, but actually in the body, what the file is completely different, and see how tools, browsers, or technology, something like that, deal with that. So that's all the kind of things we want to look for. And that's our main goal. And here, for example, I have those are the goals when I designed this tool. Is we have the Carmen, that's the basic framework that you get the session ID, the cookies, all that thing I showed you before. Now we have to write some code. Yep, no love there. So you have to write your own code. So we can write fuzzing tools or vulnerabilities there, an analysis tool to be more active. So for example, in vulnerabilities, we can write a couple of well-known vulnerabilities into our site, and so we can see how people manage, or people are trying to exploit those vulnerabilities, or tools. Actually, that's kind of thing, how tools respond to that. In the analysis component, we can put there more active tools, analysis tools that will behave, that will react to the scanning or to the people, something like that. So that's kind of cool. And that's our different targets. We want to be able to perform analysis on security tools, web technologies, and people, because those are the three things I'm interested for. So, yeah, I mean, in the security tools, I want to be able to perform analysis on scanners, application scanners, and application firewalls. I mean, they are not that popular so far because they don't work, but they are trying. But anyway, it's quite interesting to test them and play around with them. It's always nice. So we also want to play around with browsers and the plugins, because there's so much stuff there in that domain. It's huge, because it's so complex and so much stuff running there, and people are writing a lot of custom proxies, something like that. So it's nice to perform all that kind of testing analysis. So that's our goals here. I mean, I'm sure you can come up with more things you want to play around, but those are the goals I was looking for. So now, so we have the conclusion. So actually, at this point, the Carmen web server is just a basic framework that it gives you what I showed you before. Like you can create sites inside the server and get back that site to request. It gives you the cookies. You can define the methods and so like that. So it gives you like a basic web server you can use, but you can perform all the customizations you want. So and then you have to put your analysis tool on top of it. And actually now, for example, because it's in Python, so that's excellent. I'm a huge Python lover. So, and now there are a couple of Python's fuzzings, debuggers, something like that. So it's quite nice. You can combine all that together. So it's not that difficult. So here our goal is to be able we don't want to waste too much time on the server itself. So it gives us the flexibility. So we want to create the illusion of web apps running inside the server. So we can create simple or complex web application with just a couple of pages or a lot of pages with forms and everything we want. So that's also interesting to come up with that. We can see how spiders deal with that. So we can create there like vulnerabilities and attacks there, and see how spiders go into the site. So that's something we want to also play. I mean, I didn't put that in my goals, but spiders is also another feature we would like to create. Well, anyway, scanning tools, they use a spider anyway. So yeah, we can write vulnerabilities, well-known vulnerabilities or something like that, or maybe we can try to put unknown, but it's more funny when you put something that maybe all vulnerabilities that anyone knows how to exploit them, and see how, and they're thinking, oh, I'm exploiting this old vulnerability, I'm cool. So we want to be able to do that. Yeah, I mean, our goal here is to see how people and tools manage those. So, I mean, yeah, there have been lately there have been a lot of research in web technologies, so that's not new. But security tool analysis, there's not that much research. Yeah, I mean, but for example, if you go to all these vulnerability databases, famous databases, if you perform search on security tools, vulnerabilities on security tools, actually you will find that many security tools has issues there. But there are more things I'm sure we can come up. I mean, I'm sure all the application security tools, it's going to be a really fun domain, and I guess we will see a lot of stuff in the coming years. So actually here is the model for the tool. We want to test web technologies. We want to help security experts to perform all the analysis and gather information about the attacker or something like that. And we want to challenge scanners. I mean, I've been around with all the scanners and something like that. I mean, they are okay for basic stuff, but usually most of the time you have to use other tools, or you have to run your own small tools, or you have to use proxy, something like that, because scanners tools cannot go too deep or whatever. So, I mean, they have to improve they need to improve a little bit. And I mean, when I little bit, I mean generous. I'm quite generous there. So actually, it's not there, the tool yet. It will be hopefully next week. That's my personal site. So hopefully next week it will be available there to play around with it. Questions and answers? I had time. Yeah, too fast. Good. Well, I think
I was wondering if you could follow the vulnerabilities the server and implement the exploits to the security tools or to the report
I have more. I have analysis tool and stuff like that, but I'm not going to release that. That's what you get when you work for a small company. You cannot do whatever you want, so I have to follow that. And actually, yeah, I mean, I like to pay. I mean, it's not that difficult to come up with your tool. There's a lot of things you can put here, and it's not that difficult to find the stuff. I mean, actually, my idea is just to give the basic framework, and from there you are in your own. Actually, I will try to put a nice documentation and tips and stuff like that. So hopefully that will help you. But actually, you are in your own, and so all the analysis tools and stuff like that, you have to make that yourself. So I don't know whether it's more, yeah?
Can Carmen do forwarding and rewriting of requests?
Excuse me?
Can Carmen forward and rewrite requests?
Yes. Actually, yeah. It's like it's a web server. It works like a real web server. It performs all the requests and the response back to the tool or browser, whatever. Yeah, it performs all that. Yeah. It needs to read on a port. So it works like yeah.
Does it support the most common script languages and stuff you need to simulate the whole environment, or don't you have to forward the request to somebody else?
With the script, what do you mean? JavaScript or something like that?
PHP, whatever.
No, PHP doesn't. No, actually everything is in Python. The trick here is in the documentation I will show you. For example, when you set up your plugins or your tool CGIs, actually you can everything is in Python, but you can put the extension. So for example, you can write PGP or ASP. It will be a Python script behind that, but people think it will be a PHP or ASP, something like that. So that's another technique that the tool use.
And you would handle this stuff yourself?
Yeah, the tool, yeah.
So you would react like a real script from that language?
Yeah, actually, in that case, for example, if you create a Python script, but with a PHP, something like that. When somebody requests that page, for example, the server will give that request to your plugin. You will execute that. You will perform whatever you want with that. I mean, you can take it to a file or whatever you want. If you want to get back a response back, you told the server, and the server will get back your response to the request.
You could fake something?
Yeah, everything here is about fake. This is like magic. Everything is fake. Everything is an illusion. Everything is in your mind. This is the same.
So you can take like a database request and everything?
Right. So it's up to you how deep are you going to develop your script to be able to do that? Yeah, but it's up to you. I have recreated a couple of old vulnerabilities well known there, and I see how people, yeah, I mean, you can create all that kind of stuff like SQL, you can emulate, yeah, our goal here is to fake everything, and you can simulate SQL injection and stuff like that, and give back the response, oh, I get the table. Yeah, something like that. You can play around that.
It's file-based. Everything is on files.
Yeah. Yeah, everything is stored into files. It's simple to use. I mean, I don't want complex things, database, everything to, no. I just want thinking, I mean, I don't want to waste a lot of time doing that, set up my environment. I just want able to write my analysis tool, my vulnerability there, and see the results of that. So it's quite simple.
What was the advantage of writing your own thing except modifying the existing web server?
Excuse me?
What was the advantage of writing your own thing versus to using and modifying the existing web server?
Well, one of the things is I prefer to do it in Python. So everything is Python. I can change everything I want, running cross-platform. That's a couple of things. And the thing is because that with a real web server, now you have to configure the web server. It's more time you are wasting. I don't need most of the features of the web server. No need. So I don't see the point in using a real web server. I want something lighter I can use.
So I see you use it as a funny model, something like that for the web, but I mean, if you want to integrate it with an existing web page or website you have to develop all the setting in Python or to serve it in Python, I mean, you can use it as like a web proxy or division level gateway, just knowing information or filtering to integrate your existing website, or you have just to port your existing website to the server.
I'm not sure.
If you are running a site with SAP or Java,
Yeah?
it's not going to be possible to run with Carmen, for example.
No, right. No.
So that's kind of a way to work as a web proxy, something like this kind of.
I mean, this is the intention here. Like, I mean, you want to do that. I guess there will be other tools better to do that. So the goal here is like just to have a web server, something running. I guess because it's I mean, for example, maybe with that, for example.
Pretty simple.
See, I mean, it's for example to be able to do that. I guess what I will do is I will write a plugin, something like that will take the response, send back to the real server, get the response, and send it back to the user. Actually, with the plugins, that's the reason they are there, so you can kind of weird stuff, everything you want. So there's no issue there. So yeah, you should be able to do some kind of that. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, you want to put ASP or Java for a reason because you know there's a vulnerability there or something like that. You can also put it there, fake that vulnerability in the server itself. It depends what you want to do, of course. Yeah, I mean, you have your entire yeah, I mean, you have your entire site created in a language, move to another language. Yeah, I mean, to another platform. Yeah, it's not easy. That's true. But I guess you can use maybe the plugins and do that, something like that. Yeah, that should be able. And anyway, it's quite easy, the code. Actually, the entire server I think is less than 2,000 lines of code. So actually, it's pretty easy to go and change all this, and make all the changes. So.
Okay, since we're already in the discussion phase, I thank the speaker for this interesting talk.